Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. The Jewish matchmaker Aleeza Ben Shalom is our guest today. Aleeza will talk about her incredible experiences helping people find love, as well as her show on Netflix. Aleeza will also talk about her courses, podcasts, and more.
Matchmaker and dating coach Aleeza Ben Shalom, welcome to Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great to have you here. Before we get started, we're going to do things a little differently here. I want to tell the viewers that today we're taping the show on Father's Day, and I have two sons. I'll be begging Aleeza to find them some wives after the interview, so you will not see the begging here. That will take place afterwards, so don't go off, Aleeza, when I give my first goodbye.
Okay.
So,
you got it. I'm in.
Yes. All I'm saying, Aleeza, it is beshert that we are doing the interview today. And for the Yiddish impaired at home, beshert means meant to be. So, Aleeza, great to have you here. Let's just fill in the blank quickly. Matchmaker, make me a match. You know the next line?
Find me a find, catch me a catch.
There you go. I tested it on my wife earlier today. She actually sang it, but that's perfect. So yes, Fiddler on the Roof. That's, of course, for years what all I've known or thought about matchmaking. There's some other things because of where I lived for many years, which we'll get into later. But matchmaking is a very long-standing tradition. So how has social media and technology changed the matchmaking game and the matchmaking business?
So social media has actually empowered the daters to become their own matchmaker. And it has also empowered the matchmakers to have even more resources at their fingertips, literally. So it means that when we go out to find somebody, besides having a database and all of our normal just network, say hello connections, we can also go online on something like Facebook, for example, and go to a group, for example, like Corona Crush. I don't know if you heard about that one. It's the first one. It's the biggest one. It came out during the pandemic. Boom, it was a hit. They've got technology happening. AI is matching. People are matching. They're writing in. And there's just so many ways to be a matchmaker. And it doesn't have to be from a professional matchmaker. Everybody is becoming their own matchmaker, which is sometimes great and sometimes insanely annoying.
So true on so many counts, but that's one of the reasons, quite honestly, I wanted to have you on the show, because of your integrity and authenticity. Because, for example, I've owned a tutoring business for 28 years, and I often tell parents when their children don't need a tutor. And I've seen you, on film, I've seen you say, hey, if you do it on your own, if a bartender fixes you up, I just want you to be happy. And I just think that's a wonderful thing. But I have so many guests on the show. And I say to them, children often say they want to be a professional football player, but how did you become one? Blah, blah, blah. But let me tell you, I don't know that in 32 years of education, if I ever heard a student of any age say, when I grow up, I want to be a matchmaker. So, Aleeza, how did this happen?
I did not say, Marc, when I grow up, I want to be a matchmaker. I said, when I grow up, I don't know what I want to be. Right. I said, I want to be a wife. I want to be a mother. And please, God, help me to figure out what I want to be, because I actually have no career aspirations. And even had I, excuse me, even had I known that I wanted to be a matchmaker, it wasn't like a career choice. Who goes to college to become a matchmaker?
True.
Have you heard of that course? No.
Marriage and the family, but that wasn't what they taught.
Right, exactly. So for me, it was a process of discovery, and I just started to do the things I loved. I was always helping people. I was always talking. I was always connecting them. I was kind of like an unofficial yenta for the good, not yenta in the negative term, but right. Somebody who was just a bridge between people and filling in that gap. And then I found an online website where it was matchmaker led. So daters could not set themselves up. They had to be set up by a matchmaker. And I started doing that, and I was like, ooh. And then sorry about that. And then I realized that I didn't just want to be an introducer. There's 3 different kinds of matchmakers. One is the introducer, and everybody calls that the official matchmaker. One is called the mentor, or the one who's the coach. They walk the walk, they talk the talk. That's a really crucial component to matchmaking. And the third part is the closer, the one that's like, okay, either we're getting over your hurdles and under the chuppah, or we're done, like finish, finito, let's be done. So I actually fell in love with the mentoring, the coaching, the closing, and of course I'll make an introduction. Of course I'll put people together, but only if I really love the match. For me, it's almost painful to put together a match that I don't really enjoy.
Oh, for sure. And, I lived for many years in Muncie, New York, and that is a very heavy Orthodox population. And we sought local hotels if we went for weddings, or we went for certain events or family gatherings. We saw a lot of people who were obviously put together by the matchmaker, but these were Orthodox. I think it was maybe ultra Orthodox, or certainly modern Orthodox, but there was somebody with them on that first date. And the first date, I know in the show, I see bars, I see drinks, I see boat rides, kayak rides, but I saw people sitting next to each other on a couch and just talking and getting to know each other. And so this is so different from the real traditional, when you're going to meet your wife? On your wedding day. That's when you're going to meet your wife. And that's back to the Fiddler on the Roof days. But that, as you know, is still done today. Right. So walk me through. I like how you said you found your calling and you took that further. But how do we go from you having that kind of network, knowing you're good at it? Obviously, you're an incredible people person. But one of the things I do is also I'm a life coach, and that's a big responsibility. But your responsibility is, let me make this match of people who will hopefully live together forever, raise children and grandchildren. That is a huge responsibility. So don't want to put any pressure on you, but what is up with that? What goes through your head? I know that you're very hands-on. I know you take this beyond seriously. So what's the gestalt of that whole thing?
So at the core of this is that I want to see a person on their own happy when they couple up. I want to see that couple thriving and succeeding and building themselves. When they build themselves, they build the community. And when they build the community, we know we build the whole world. And so to me, this is so foundational in how we make the world a better place, that I do take this very seriously. I take the entire process of bringing them together and introducing them, coaching, working with them, and not just teaching them how to date or how to get to know each other. It's a little secret. I'll let you in on my secret, which is I like to give people life skills for how to live together for a lifetime while they're dating. So that actually, as they're going through the dating process, you think we're talking about dating, and then you get married and you're like, oh, remember that thing Aleeza told me? That's what I'm supposed to still be doing now. And it's applicable. It's not just something that's time sensitive and relevant for the dating process. So I'm giving people tips and tools and relationship skills so that they can build that connection that I know is going to last a lifetime.
Well, that's so true, Aleeza, and that resonates with me, because in the educational world and the business world, actually, data is king. And the data shows us how badly that skill is needed, because if over 50% of marriages end in divorce, they must have gone into it wrong. Does that make sense?
Right. I think that I've been saying this over and over again, that people don't get divorced because somebody's ugly. Okay, not on the outside, right? You marry somebody and everybody's obsessed with the look and the na. But when you get divorced, you didn't divorce them because you didn't like their face. It's because you didn't take enough time to get to know the insides, and because you don't like the way that they treat you or handle you or mishandle you. It's a big problem. And those are the reasons that people walk away. So yeah, getting a pretty face or something that's appealing to you. Yes, we need that. Of course, I'm not negating that. But we more so need that the inside is going to be something that will be compatible and will be long lasting, that I will love and respect, and that I will figure out how to grow with as our relationship ever develops over the course of decades.
Absolutely. And I have to say, as a business person, I know there used to be nothing better than word of mouth. But if you want to take word of mouth times 10 on steroids, way up there, social media is one thing. But let's talk about now, and congratulations on your show being on Netflix. This is not word of mouth. This is a totally different animal, and this is the stratosphere. Tell me about the genesis of Jewish matchmaking.
So Indian matchmaking was developed, and they pitched it for years, I think for a decade, to get the show actually picked up. And finally it got picked up and it got released in 2020. And it was a huge hit. It was incredible and people fell in love. And the production company went to Netflix and said, we've got a brand. Indian matchmaking's great. Let's also do Jewish matchmaking. And they said, okay, so find us a Jewish matchmaker. Right. And they went on a casting hunt for a Jewish matchmaker and interviewed, besides myself, dozens upon dozens of matchmakers. A bunch of my friends were interviewed, and there were many people that were considered for this position. And over the course of months, I would do interviews on and off. And I'm like, okay, am I still in the running? They're like, yeah. They call me back. Okay. Yeah. I said, they're like, we've got good news and other news. Like, your good news is you're in the top 5. The other news is, well, we don't know what's going to happen. I said, right. Okay, how do I get to the top 3? How do I get to the top 1? And they said, just, we'll see. And we'll just see, we'll see. And finally, in March of 2021, I got the news, we picked you, the show is casting, and we're going to send you a contract. And I was excited, over the moon. And then they also said, you realize, like, being an Orthodox Jewish woman on television, that, anti-Semitism is high, death threats are normal, you should prepare yourself. This isn't all fun and games. And there needs to be a lot of awareness about what potentially could happen. So I was also on high alert for not the best outcome, because that's fairly common in the Jewish world.
So I really think years ago, not 10, but maybe 5 or 6, I was a little taken aback when some of my friends who had gotten divorced were back in the dating scene, and it wasn't the old school, meet them at a bar, have your friend hook you up. They started to go on dating sites, dating apps. Yeah. Now I can't find anybody who doesn't do that. So it's really come beyond full circle. So now people need someone to help them navigate this. This is not swipe left, swipe right. Back in the day, it was a video where somebody talked and then somebody made their own video. But what does a dating coach exactly do? I know you have courses. I know you do this with other matchmakers, and it's not just about an individual thing now. And now you use the word that I love as an educator, training. What is the training involved when you are a dating coach?
So I created a program to train coaches and matchmakers to go through. There's multiple levels. One is, how do you work with somebody? How do you walk the walk and talk the talk? What are the skills that you need? If you're doing this, you're either going to do it through a volunteer model, a chesed model. You're going to do it through a professional paid business model, or you might do it through a nonprofit model. So also, how do you take this skill that you have and where do you put it in the world? Do you want to build your own business? Do you want to integrate into an incredible nonprofit, which, by the way, around the world, things are popping up and people are hiring matchmakers to bring them into their team because they know that it brings in young professionals into their nonprofit and helps them to grow. Right. So there's training for how to deal with people, but there's training for the industry as well, because it's not an industry that is well known or well trained on. And the other piece is to also network and interconnect. What's at the core of matchmaking is bringing other matchmakers and other coaches together, because I really only believe in collaboration and I don't believe in competition. So when somebody comes in, they're not just, oh, they're in my pool, that's it, nobody has access. Look, here I have somebody that I'm searching on behalf of. If anybody has it, we work together to make a match. We work very hard to bring people together. And that means that we are all teammates. Even if we're working for different companies or working within different models, we have a very strong training and talk about how to connect and work together. We have actually a group, there's 3 of us. It's called The Yentas. And we have a podcast called The Yentas. And it was 3 of us coming from different backgrounds. One was nonprofit. I was my own business for profit. And somebody else was working for a company. And we were like, how do we do this in the same city? We're dealing with the same pool of people. And how do we interconnect ourselves? And that's something that I've worked very hard to build, and that together we have really strengthened in the community, in the matchmaking world. What
a great and, dare I say, refreshing philosophy. And I have to tell you, I have family members who are also in groups known as the Yentas, but it ain't the same thing. I'll tell you right now.
Right.
as you know. So you're the expert in this. It's great to have somebody who's expert in these kind of things. So I love the famous saying, date him till you hate him, that you kind of coined. So along the lines of that, what is the biggest mistake that people make on their very first date?
On their very first date, people often say, well, I want them to just know me. I've got to be honest and I've got to be real. And whatever it is, it is. And either they love me like I am or forget about it. And I'm like, oh, right. Is that how we go into a job interview? Also, we do the same thing? Like, no, we put our best foot forward and then we develop a relationship. And yes, our good side, our bad side, our ugly side, all of it comes out. But we lead with the good. We lead with our best self. And we also lead with all sorts of points of connection. The person is going to find enough things wrong with you. You don't have to show all your warts. We need somebody to actually show their good side so that we get to know what's amazing and lovable about you. And then I'll make up my own mind what I think I don't like so much. Right. And I'll probably pick a dozen things that you never even thought of. So you don't have to worry about pointing out your flaws. Somebody is going to know that you're human. You're not an angel. You're imperfectly perfect. And that's just the way that you need to be. And we need to really present our best selves. That's people really go in kind of like headstrong. I want them to know the real me, but the real me usually means I want to be way too vulnerable, way too fast. And there's not, the relationship's not strong enough to carry that. I don't even know if I like you, whether alone hearing your deep, dark secrets.
Right. So, expert advice, sage advice from a true expert in the field. But I love the fact that you work so hard. I love the fact that you bring other people in. But on this show, I am passionate about talking about the story behind the glory. So you've really come to a much higher echelon in this business, in this industry. But what struggles have you experienced along the way to this incredible success you're now experiencing?
I started this business at home as a wife and a mother. I was pregnant with my fourth child as I started to get into this and write my book. Then I was pregnant with my fifth child, launching a business and a book. And I was really mommy at home. So I was building this very, very part-time on the side. You know, if the kids went to bed by 7:30, 8:30, I got on the computer and I started to do some of my work, or I got on phone calls. And I had to really grow very slow. I usually have 3 speeds: fast, faster, and lightning. Okay. Right. We had a running joke in our family. My mother was like, slow, stop, and reverse. And I was the complete opposite. And so to move at a consistently, I'm going to call it like a turtle, turtle versus hare, like at a turtle pace, and see that I was taking these baby steps and it was making a difference, but it didn't ever feel like enough to me. And it was so frustrating as somebody who just wanted to run. I couldn't do it. And I just had to pace myself. And pacing yourself is really hard when you have a strong drive and a strong will and a large family. So that was very, very difficult. And also everything was an effort. So who am I? Why would you even believe anything I say? I didn't have any credentials. There was no certifying agency to really certify you to do anything. Right. You could get a generic life coaching certification, but that's not even dating relationship coaching certification. Things over the years have now developed, but back when I started, it was just figure it out on your own and do it. And the best advice that I got was to write a book. And the first book I wrote was called Get Real, Get Married. And it went out into the world, and anybody who read it and was in line with that wisdom and liked it, then they called me to work with me. And then they gave the book to their friends, and everything passed by word of mouth. So I had to do a lot of grassroots growth in order to make things happen. And it's work. It's a lot of just daily grind, consistent work, and development of all of these ideas. I also, 7 years ago, my mom passed away, and I was just ready to launch my coaching course. I had completed everything. It was like in process to be done. And I was working with a business coach, and he said, "What's the message that you're getting?" I said, "The message that I'm getting is stop stop. If you don't stop doing your business, you're going to miss the rest of her life, and spend this time with her and just wait. And I was like, but I'm ready. Everything finally that I'd worked for years to launch, I can't even launch. And he said, but what's the message? I said, stop. I don't like it though. I'm really mad at the message. He said, but what are you going to do about it? He didn't force anything on me. I said, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop, because if I don't, I'm going to definitely regret missing the rest of her life. Just to try to do this, I'll have to do this later. And I had to put it on pause and wait and go through my own life before I could finish building what I wanted to build. It was very hard.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I wrote a memoir about 7 years ago, but it had been started 10 years before that. And like you say, life gets in the way, good, bad, or indifferent. And timing is everything. So I agree with you. I think the kind of personality you have, you would definitely have regretted that. So I'm so glad you chose family first, and you got the brass ring, so to speak. Anyway, so because speaking of your speed being lightning and beyond, what is next for Aleeza Ben Shalom?
Yes, I have big plans.
Tell me, what are you allowed to tell me? What can't you tell me?
I have no idea if there's going to be a season 2. I'll tell you my gut instinct that when you have something like good, when you have good TV, good news doesn't travel as far as bad news or difficult things. So controversial shows get renewed and good shows usually don't. So if I had to place my bet, I'd bet on I probably am not going to get renewed, even though I think it's fantastic and it made a huge splash and we got tons of incredible positive PR about this. But probably they only go by views. So my guess would be not enough views to continue, but that just means that God has a different plan and I'm going to do a different show. If it comes through, great. Yay. For sure. I will be happy to do it. If it doesn't come through, I will be doing some sort of a different show. What will it be? I have a few ideas of things that are brewing for me that I'm kind of working on internally and with a team. But I don't know what it'll be, but for sure we're going to go from where we are, which is, breaking into the world, to getting out into the galaxy and lighting it up even more than it's already been lit. That's phenomenal. And writing a book. I want to write a bestseller. So I have, a book on the way. But if it's not a bestseller, I'm going to keep writing till we hit a bestseller. Because I want the information to write too much. I think it's going to happen for you. So I think it's phenomenal. And Aleeza Ben Shalom, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your experiences as a dating coach and matchmaker, and opening yourself up to tell us about some personal information about some struggles along the way. To the viewers, don't forget to watch us on E360 TV, available on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. EST, on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. Remember to follow us on social media. Life Stories with Marc Hoberman is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and of course our YouTube channel. So subscribe. Aleeza, thanks so much for being here today. Thank you, Marc. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.